Robinson, a 24-year-old geologist living and working in Buckeye, Arizona. It is one of the westernmost suburbs of Phoenix. It's a low-lying desert valley, a resort spot that has quickly grown into a full-scale city. And it is where Daniel set off on a start for a job that he loved. He left work in Buckeye June 23rd. He has not been seen or heard from since. Puzzling clues, a crash scene that raises a lot of questions is what we know tonight. News Nation correspondent Nancy Liu is live in Buckeye for us, where she spent some time with Daniel's father. Nancy.
Marnie, it has been over 3 months since Daniel Robinson went missing. This is the area in Buckeye where his vehicle was found. This is remote. The terrain is extremely treacherous, and his family now wonders whether Daniel was really in that vehicle when it crashed here.
I have faith, and I really believe I'm going to have my son back alive.
David Robinson is on the biggest mission of his life. After serving 2 tours in the deserts of Afghanistan, the Army vet has no plans to leave the deserts of Arizona until he finds his 24-year-old son, Daniel.
Treat it like a mission. I keep saying it. I'm a professional soldier. I do my job and find my son. He's my son, I'm his father, and it's my job.
The job has been filled with frustration. Daniel is a geologist who works for a company analyzing sediments in the area for a well. He was last seen leaving the worksite in Buckeye on the morning of June 23rd. A month later, a rancher found Robinson's Jeep crashed in a ravine. His keys, wallet, and phone were in the SUV, but there was no sign of him.
And I think the first thing he would have done if he was in that vehicle is at least carry his phone with him. I couldn't imagine someone 24 years old won't be attached to his phone.
I'm leaning more towards I don't think Daniel was in that vehicle.
The private investigator working with the Robinson family suspects foul play is involved. He says there are too many unanswered questions raised by data recovered from the vehicle.
The vehicle had 11 additional miles on it from the time the airbags deployed. It had 46 additional ignition cycles on it after the airbags deployed.
Jeff McGrath also notes red paint transfer on the right side of the Jeep.
The vehicle was tipped over on the passenger side, so there's no red paint in this area. So how that got there, that's why I'm saying that vehicle did not crash here. That vehicle was, its last place of rest was here, but something was going on with that vehicle.
The Buckeye Police Department refused an interview request, but provided its report in which coworkers said Daniel made odd comments about needing rest before he left the job site that morning. His father describes Daniel as always friendly and well-adjusted since his birth without a right hand.
He don't wear prosthetics, you know he was born without a hand, and he don't wear prosthetics. His mom tried to get him to wear it. No, Mom, I want to, be who I am, and that's just Daniel. He was living his dream. He became interested in geology when his first year in college, his freshman year. He took a class, and that just set it off,
Just like the Gabby Petito case, internet sleuths are also at work on this one.
Just seeing the way the car was, the Jeep was, and the evidence, to me, it actually does support foul play.
Brian Watts hosts a mystery and adventure show on YouTube. A recent episode featured Daniel's disappearance.
After I then got lots of comments from people in and around that area that said, yeah, there's crime, carjackings that happen all the time, and it's bad. It's something that they're aware of.
The search for Daniel forges on, and this man on a mission will remain in Arizona until there are answers.
I don't know what to think anymore. Just going to keep watching and keep on searching.
At the break of dawn, in the middle of the Arizona desert, a crowd of strangers meet for one purpose.
You guys coming out here to help me out, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
To help another stranger, a father desperately searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson.
Since he was a child, he liked to challenge everything.
He was born with a challenge.
And I wanted to introduce him to prosthetics because he's born one hand. We quickly learned that that's something that Daniel didn't want. He let nothing stop him. He decided to be a geologist once he got into freshman year in college. He excelled that. He graduated with honors.
Daniel's first job is checking the viability of water wells in the Arizona desert.
He loved this area, of course, because of the rock form. If you're a geologist, this is the best place to be.
But the terrain became a hellscape for his dad when Daniel went missing back in June from his job site.
And what number search is this?
This is search number 14.
Navigating the dangers in the desert, the Army veteran knows firsthand time is of the essence.
When I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me that I had to wait an extra 3 hours because they had a 12-hour, report time when you can say a person is missing. Then I called them back and put in a missing person report. I got very worried. That's when I got very worried. I asked the Buckeye Police Department to go out and search that area. The officer told me that they were going to send a vehicle out there, a helicopter out to search for him. I was relieved. And then he called back an hour later and said, no, it was a no-go. I'm his dad, and he's my son. I've lost all sense of reality. At that moment, I said, you know what? They're not going to look for my son. I'm going to have to do it myself.
Before he arrived, police did decide to search on foot and with helicopters.
This is the last place your son was seen?
The last place.
What do you think happened, David?
I think a lot happened here. I'm very suspicious.
But he doesn't know what. A month in, there's a break in the case, and police call Robinson.
I got afraid, actually, that it's going to be some bad news. He said, no, we just found his vehicle.
Some ranchers found it, and then at that point, we conducted our investigation and additional searches.
What was the condition of the car? If it had rolled over, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the car was on its side. The sunroof was kicked out at that point, so he might have exited through the sunroof.
His wrecked car in a ravine, both airbags deployed, Daniel's cell phone, clothes he was wearing that day, and a case of water all found at the crash site. But not Daniel.
People don't just disappear into thin air.
True.
Does that sort of feel like what's happened here?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very challenging case.
No matter how much the family asks for this to be a criminal investigation, can you make that happen?
We can't make up evidence. Absolutely suspicious circumstances related to the case.
Frustrated and heartbroken, Robinson hired a private investigator.
Where are we going?
Down here is where the vehicle was recovered from.
Is that the glass from the car?
Yes.
When you looked at this accident, what are the discrepancies that you noticed right away?
I believe it was in more than one collision.
What does the data from the black box of the car tell you?
That there was 11 additional miles on the vehicle since the airbags came out.
What does that tell you?
That tells me it was crashed somewhere else.
Does that sound suspicious? What explains that?
Well, we had the national expert that came in and provided us his findings, and then they ended up speaking to an expert at Jeep, and the expert says, yes, sometimes that happens, and it's not unusual.
But the data also shows someone tried to start the car 46 times after the crash.
That's something we can't explain.
It begs the question, again, the family is saying it's criminal. It's got to be a reason danger. Do something.
Right. No, I agree. But we need information. We need evidence.
He's got a lot of theories. His words, I think, were, I don't think they cared. What do you say to that?
Couldn't be furthest from the truth.
Losing hope, Robinson began pleading for media coverage.
It literally took 3 months.
While Robinson searched for his son, the country became riveted by media coverage of another missing persons case, the case of Gabby Petito.
In my situation, people think I love our children less or something, or they're less important.
In 2020, more than 543,000 missing persons records were filed. More than 480,000 were cleared. And 40% of the missing are people of color.
There are a lot of Gabby Petitos and Natalie Holloways in the Black and Brown community.
That's why former police officer Derica Wilson co-founded Black and Missing Inc. and says too often their cases go untold. Eventually, local stations did stories and citizens began helping search.
Did you know Daniel?
No, I just wanted to help.
You're just helping out a stranger on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Why?
You know what? I can't imagine what that man's going through.
As the search for Daniel goes into its 5th month, another family is in the midst of a terrible mystery for a 5th year. The family of Nikki and Ariana Fitz.
Ariana is very energetic, very happy.
2-year-old Ariana went missing under the most suspicious of circumstances in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2016. Her mother, Nikki Fitz, was found in a shallow grave in San Francisco's McLaren Park, but Ariana was gone.
It breaks my heart that Ariana's not with her mom and Ariana's not with her family, but it also breaks my heart even more is that I know that Nikki wants nothing more than Ariana to be with us, to be home.
Tessa Fitz says she is convinced her niece Ariana was taken by people close to Ariana's mother. San Francisco police searched for weeks. They had some leads, but no arrests. A digitally altered photo was made of what she may look like now.
And she's 8 now. I don't want to see this in a picture. I want to see her face in person.
Should Ariana Fitz be a household name like JonBenet Ramsey?
Absolutely. Why is her case any different from Kaylee Anthony? I can tell you, the color of their skin is the only difference.
For 5 desperate years, the family has continued searching using flyers, social media, and Black and Missing Inc.
Do you think it has anything to do with color?
I try not to put myself in the mindset of the race issue with her media coverage. All I want is for there to be the media coverage for her. I think she deserves that.
The Fitz and the Robinsons want only one thing, with hugging their missing children once again.
Do you think that Ariana is still alive?
I do believe that Ariana is still alive, and it would mean everything to me to know where she is and to find her. I wait for that day every single day. I believe that day will come.
How long will you search?
Till I find my son. I have to. I mean, he's my responsibility.
Sarah Seidner, CNN, Buckeye, Arizona.
Dawn in the desert, a clear and chilly November morning. We are near the city of Buckeye, Arizona, where a caravan of cars is arriving, carrying volunteers. For the next several hours, they will comb this unforgiving landscape, looking for a young man who's been missing since June of 2021. His name, Daniel Robinson. And leading the search, not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
Where is everybody located?
For 9 painful months, Robinson and his team of volunteers, people he now calls family, have been desperately trying to find any trace of his son.
He's a very bright, intelligent geologist. Anything that Daniel want to do, he would do it. He's born without a right hand, but he finds ways to master anything that he want to do. You know, he's a geologist. Of course, Arizona is the ideal place.
In June 2021, Daniel had just begun a job doing field work at a desert well site. He'd always kept in close touch with his family back home in South Carolina. But around this time, Daniel suddenly stopped calling.
I tried to call his phone constantly. He wasn't answering.
In fact, the whole family tried calling Daniel. Nothing. His sister in Arizona checked his apartment. No one there.
I was worried. I didn't want to panic because I didn't want my children to panic, so that's when I decided to call the Buckeye Police Department.
The Buckeye PD is a small one with barely more than 100 officers. Nevertheless, they began investigating by first checking the area where Daniel was reportedly working. Nothing turned up. 2 days later, David Robinson, desperate for answers, felt he had to take matters into his own hands.
I just grabbed everything I had, threw it in my vehicle, and just started driving. And I made it here. I came straight through. Left South Carolina, came straight to Arizona.
Some 45 hours later, David arrived in this daunting desert, exhausted, but in a panic. His son was out here somewhere, all alone, facing 3-digit heat, rattlesnakes, and not a soul or building in sight. So on his own, David started searching and soon made his way to the well site where his son was last seen.
This is where it all began. This is where the whole narrative started. My son drove off into the desert and vanished, maybe from here.
David then met with a witness, a co-worker of his son's who said he saw Daniel at the well the day he disappeared.
He did tell me that my son seemed like he was looking out into space somewhere, looking out into the desert terrain, kind of staring off, and was acting really quiet. And then he told me my son just kind of waved off to him, got in his vehicle, and drove off.
Where he went and what exactly happened next, no one seems to know. Soon after that meeting, David began recruiting volunteers to help him search the sprawling Sonoran Desert. Every Saturday for the next few weeks, they scoured this barren, treacherous landscape. They have not found Daniel. Then in July 2021, a break, a big one. A local rancher found Daniel's Jeep rolled over in a remote ravine.
When I first saw that crash site, I was really devastated. This place I had to go to and see for myself.
The airbags had deployed. The sunroof looked as if it had been kicked open, perhaps used as an escape route. And this was odd. Outside the Jeep were what appeared to be Daniel's clothes and work boots, his wallet still in his blue jeans. Inside the vehicle was his college ID, laptop, keys, cell phone, and plenty of bottled water. To help make sense of this mystery, David hired private investigator Jeff McGrath, an expert at reconstructing accidents. He has a theory of what might have happened.
There was nothing along this route that the vehicle took into that bottom ravine that matched the damage. It's telling me the vehicle was probably crashed somewhere else. Either moved here or it was continued to be driven, and this was its final stop. Whether somebody stole it in joyriding, whether Daniel was in it, but it tells me something happened somewhere else.
The Jeep has since been moved to a secured location for further analysis, but plenty of evidence still remains of the crash.
I don't believe it was enough to kill, no. The airbags had enough force to do some damage. They strike you in the face, and they come out with a lot of force, and it could cause a concussion, but there wasn't enough violence here in this crash to cause a lethal.
That suggests Daniel survived and was perhaps disoriented and maybe wandered aimlessly into the desert. Could this be other than accidental? Could foul play be involved in Daniel's disappearance? It's something McGrath and David have not ruled out. It's something police have examined too. To this point, there is no evidence of that. None at all. Whatever happened back in June of 2021 has David Robinson now bracing for the worst.
It's hard to say you're searching for your son, walking around the desert with no clothing, no shoes. So I had to mentally put it in my head that I'm doing a recovery. So I need to go find every spot I can out here to rescue my son. He may be hurt, injured, somewhere stuck, whatever. I need to find my son. Yeah, I found something up here interesting.
David is hoping to get more attention, help, and resources from the Buckeye PD, which says this is still an ongoing investigation, although so far not a criminal one.
Okay, so we're still working this side.
He's also tried to enlist federal help. In the fall of 2021, the Buckeye PD briefed the FBI and asked for their assistance. The Bureau recently told us they're still assessing the case. So far, they have not gotten involved. So for now, David Robinson and his team of volunteers continue to search.
I really have faith that somehow God can bless that he's alive somewhere, and I hope so. I am not stopping. He's my son. He's my responsibility. He's a fighter. He never give up on anything. I definitely won't give up on him.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still searching for him. Good morning, everybody. This is David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son, Daniel Robinson, was working at his work site on June the 23rd, where he disappeared. I do want to tell you he is a graduate of the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. Upon graduation, he went straight to Arizona to take a final class and also to start his life here in Phoenix, Arizona. He landed his first job immediately, working for Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. And for them, he was hired on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. What Daniel do for his job is he go to well sites where he check the viability of wells, make sure those wells are producing the right amount of water. Most for communities and things that's being built out here in Arizona. As you know, Arizona have a lot of new cities and areas and communities being built. His job is very important because by law, those communities, most communities here in Arizona have to have those wells producing over 100 years of water. And his job is to determine that. Also determine if the water is drinkable with the rock settlements. They test the rock settlements, see what type of rocks and things and minerals and things like that coming from that well. Also, on the day of June the 23rd, my son did go to 2 well sites. He went to the first one that morning, did some work there, and then he went to meet a worker for a company called Weber out at the second well site. He had made a phone call, let the guy know that he's on the way. Supposedly made on the way. They had a conversation. He even had a text message with him. Ultimately, my son met him out there, Sun Valley Parkway near Cactus Road Junction. They met out there on the road. From that point, that's when the story of the worker began. He said, my son, they got the vehicle. They met on the road out there. They had a brief conversation. My son had his safety vest on. He had his boots on, and that's what he remembered about him. They got into the vehicle. Daniel got in his vehicle. He got in his. Daniel followed him into the well site. The well site, to get to the well site, you have to drive at least a mile west, and then you have to drive another 2 miles north to get to this well site. Once they got to the well site, they had a brief conversation about the weather. He kind of did some observation of my son for whatever reason. He said that he even look at his eyes to see if they're dilated or whatever. I'm not sure how he was able to do it, but that's what his story is. And then after a little brief conversation about that weather, my son asked him, do you want to go back to Phoenix? Because he wanted to rest. And he thought that was odd and strange for him to ask him that. He wanted to stay at the well site because he felt the well, the weather was going to pass through, the sail was going to pass. And my son just kind of waved off and got in his vehicle and drove off. After a period of time, so many different stories of how the events from this point happened after that point. One theory, one way is what he told me personally when I did an interview when I first got here to Arizona. I interviewed the worker from the well site, and the story he gave me was that he left. He wanted to see where Daniel went. He decided to check and see what happened to him. He went to He went down. He said after it was raining. He said he was follow the tracks. He said he knows that Daniel had his tracks leading from the well site, but he's decided he wanted to make sure he stayed to the left of to the tracks because he didn't want to disturb them. They got to the junction. He knows that the tracks went out to the west, so he made sure he stayed to the left again to make sure he don't disturb those tracks. He went through a gate. He came up to a gate out there, And once he got through the gate, he drove another mile or so. He got out on foot. He went up on a hill. He kind of looked over the distance to try to see if he could locate Daniel's vehicle from afar to stand up on the hill. He got back down off the hill, they walked a little bit, got back in his vehicle. Then he got out to paint some rocks red with red paint, so that the police also can locate where his tracks were. I did fail to mention that he also, when he got to the T-junction, he said to me that when he got to T-junction and followed those tracks, stayed to the left, that he knew this thing was going to be big and the police was going to come. And that's the reason why he stayed to the left of those tracks, and that this thing was going to become national. It become something big, huge. So that's the story of my son's day he went missing. That's a story that was given to me. And also, that's the story that prompted me as a father to start my own searches. I had started my own searches based on a couple of things. First of all, my son was missing. It's an urgency to find out where he was at. I needed to know that really quickly. Couldn't get the Buckeye Police Department to move fast or move at all to get my son, search for my son. I can tell you on the 23rd when my son was missing, I don't want to put in a missing person report. After so many hours, had to wait till the 12th hour, and I'll be able to do so. I did talk to an officer, Cruz, at that time, at night. He seemed like he was very cooperative. I didn't know much about the story, what happened to my son. I didn't know he was actually missing in the desert. I just heard he was near the White Tank Mountains. I didn't know what that was at the time. But you know, of course, I was doing a lot of Google and things like that, trying to learn about what the White Tank Mountains are. In the process, I was able to talk to some of the coworkers and to find out what they knew. I was also able to his job, actually, to find out what they knew, and also talked to the police department. I stayed in constant contact with Officer Cruz at the time to know what's going on. What I did learn from the job is that indeed my son was missing in the desert. You know what I'm saying? He was last seen in the desert area. Did talk to Officer Cruz about that. I thought it was very great that he said he was going down the Sun Valley Parkway. That's the first time I heard of the road, to check to see if his vehicle's out there on the side of the road or something. But once like I said, I found out he was in the desert itself. I asked them, can they go search the desert? They told me they couldn't do it because it was at night, but they would do it early in the morning. I had to deal with that, of course. I had to stay up all night. I was able to, stay up until the new officer came in. I think his name was Haley or something like that. And so after the officer came in, he did tell me they was going to have the helicopter to go out to search for Daniel. That's on the 24th. And so I was really grateful for that, really happy to hear that. But, that gave me a little leeway so I could find out what's going on. See if they find Daniel, but they called me an hour later and alerted me that their supervisor, the higher ups, he called it, canceled and the flight. Said it was unauthorized because Daniel's a grown man and he could disappear if he want to. Just hearing that and their outlook on my son, just the whole point, they wasn't gonna go looking. That's when I decided to grab everything I can, put in my vehicle, and then start heading here to Arizona. When I got here, like I said, the few things that was given to me as soon as I hit up into Arizona, I did get a call from my aunt in Pennsylvania, alerted me that they was putting in a Firebird in the air. I don't know what she said to them, but I was happy about that. Again, my goal was to keep contact with the police department when I got here, and also to with the job, Dane's job, and also wanted to look at this guy who said the story about my son, who last saw my son. Any father would do that. I had to look this guy in the eye, and he had to tell me the same thing he was telling these officers, something opposite of what I know about my son, his character and what he would do. So I had to listen to this guy do that, and that's the part that, like I said, from that point, I decided to go out there and search for my son myself. I couldn't get the police department to do it. They came back empty-handed of search they say they had. Also, when I talked to that guy at the well site, he also included that he was there. He was there. Matter of fact, the day I went to go visit him, had an interview. It's been almost a week since my son went missing. A few days after he went missing when I got here, and He told me he was here there at the well site the entire time, every day. So working at that well site all day. So I asked him, so he was here when they did the Firebird helicopter out there and they did a search at the well. He said, oh, y'all was here that day. I heard they were supposed to be doing that. He said, but I haven't personally seen any officers or in the helicopter. So that puzzled me, made me think, okay, why would this guy not have heard the helicopter in the desert? And not only that, he's at the well site and he haven't seen any officers. So that made me question if the search ever even happened. From that point, that really made me angry as a father. I can't really trust what the words of this department. I also wanted to get in that desert myself. I tried to go out there, but I did take the advice of the Buckeye Police Department because I'm a veteran myself, have been in Afghanistan, so I understand how the desert worked. I didn't know this desert. The terrain looked a lot different, had a lot of vegetation, and what you see from the road could be totally different. So took their advice and stayed out of that desert with my vehicle, but I was gonna find a way to go out there and search my son. So I ended up starting my own searches, make a long story with that. And it was filled up with volunteers like yourself who came out there every weekend and helped me go out there and search for my son. Almost 30 days later, I get a call from the Buckeye Police Department telling me that they found a rancher found my son's vehicle. That was very devastating to hear. It's very scary at the moment. They called me roughly around 9 or 10 o'clock that morning, and the story was that the rancher found it, but they didn't find Daniel. Asked them why they didn't alert me when he found it that morning before. He said because they didn't want to disturb my sleep, and that of course made me angry. I'm like, I have been here for all that time out there in the desert every week with with volunteers out there scrubbing that ground, and you worrying about my sleep. So they did ask me to come to the police department where he gave me, when I got there to the police department, they met me in the parking lot, and he showed me 3 things. It was 2 maps and 1 picture. It wasn't this picture here, it's one similar. And on that map, he showed me pretty much where my son's vehicle was found, which is this ravine. He tried to give it a relations to Sun Valley Parkway and show me where it was at. And then he told me, went to the pictures and start examining the pictures for me, tell me what's going on with that. As you can see behind me, everything my son was wearing was on the ground that he told me. He said, this right here, the yellowish orange spot, you see that's a safety vest. He then asked me, hey, do your son wear boxers or briefs? I said, hey, my son is a grown man. I wouldn't know that. How would I know what he's wearing? He said, well, he's everything he's wearing, his underwear, everything on the ground, sock. So that made me upset. The first thing I heard, what I saw in my mind when I heard that it's foul play. There was no reason for my son to take off his socks and his underwear. Even if it's changing clothes, most people would take their clothes off, but they'll leave their socks and underwear intact. So that right there just got me to thinking that something happened. And then looking at the vehicle itself, he started explaining. He said, hey, the vehicle flipped and rolled and twisted and turned, and it must have nosedived in the front and flipped around, turned around, and then landed on the side. He said, even after all that violence he was telling me, he said, the good part is your son didn't sustain no injury because we didn't see any blood in the vehicle. But they say he had a seatbelt on, I believe, because the way the seatbelt locks, that would indicate that he had a seatbelt on. And also that, like I say, no blood in the vehicle, but they believe that he had a severe head injury, a head brain injury. And he kicked his way out the sunroof. That's where he was showing me with glasses on the ground. He said, that's where the glass come from. But he got the vehicle. And he started explaining to me about head injuries. He didn't know that I already had a head injury myself from Afghanistan, but you know what? He started telling me about head injuries, something I didn't know. From a science level, he says that head injuries causes people to shred their clothes. And he said he believed that's what happened when you have a brain injury. You'll think that you're hot and you want to take your clothes off, and that's what happened. He took his clothes off. And he probably walked off somewhere to cool off under a tree, and where he succumbed to his injuries, or some of the wildlife out there could have got him, And so of course, that's very upsetting to me to hear that as a father, but he turned around and said, hey, you want to see this vehicle? In my mind, I thought he was going to take me to the scene here out there in the desert somewhere. I'm in Buckeye at the time, so I didn't know how far this place was or where it was or anything. I was using everything by GPS to get to that police department. But anyway, we followed him, got to right down the street a few blocks. He took me to this police compound where they keep a bunch of cars. Cars that's torn up and broken up. I mean, it's horrible. That's where they keep everything at. But before I saw that, I parked in the parking lot. I got the car. He met me at the side of the building. They had a gate there. He let me through this gate, and we started walking around back towards the back end of the building. When we got there, he kind of stopped me on the corner. He's like, hey, look, I've seen things like this before. He started telling me about a family who had thought they had a loved one missing, which was some lady. And turns out that she decided to become a nun, and she just wanted to be away from her family. He said, hey, I'm not necessarily saying that about Daniel, but he said, what if he probably wanted to leave you all and join a monastery, become a monk. I didn't know how to take that at the time, because my mind was so into seeing this vehicle, see what he had to show me. We were seated onto the back of the building. They had this gate to the left, and he went and put his little combination in or whatever he did, opened the gate. I mean, it was a whole line of tore up cars. Like I said, I mean, it was just devastating to see all of that. But then when he pointed out Daniel's vehicle to me, that was even harder thing to digest at the time. And to seeing that for the first time, it was very devastating to me. Yeah, it was very hard. And I remember just standing there, I was feeling really stunned. Of course, mind you, I got to tell you guys that this was in July the 20th, when they showed me this vehicle. The vehicle was found on July the 19th. In July last year, we already had plans. Daniel, his sisters, and myself, we had plans to be out there. I was supposed to be out here in Arizona in July to see him and his sisters, and also to ride in his vehicle for the first time. He's very proud of that vehicle. That's his new first vehicle he ever bought for himself, brand new to him. A newer vehicle. He had a vehicle before that. It was a little used vehicle. Had some little problems. They had to keep fixing all the time just to get to work. But he actually, as a grown man, finally got something that he paid for himself. And he wanted to show it to me as a father, show his manhood. I was proud of him, and proud of him for that. But we had plans to even see this vehicle for the first time. And I had to see it the way it was. So it was very devastating to me in my mind. All I could see is something happened to my son when I saw the damage. I seen the airbag sitting outside the window on the driver's side, and it was a bad look. The officer, excuse me a second, Detective Biffin, he was like, hey, pointed out, hey, you can go over there, go ahead and look in it. Go ahead, open the doors and look in it, blah, blah, blah. I just couldn't move. Because I didn't move, he started walking towards the vehicle. We got at least about 3 feet away, and he kept saying, hey, why don't you open the doors and look on in? I still didn't move. So he decided he just went in and started pulling up the airbag that was hanging out the window. And so I guess I could see visual in there. Of course, I didn't want to get touched close to it because I couldn't get close to the vehicle that my son was last seen in my mind. And something happened to him. I mean, it was if you guys would see that vehicle up in person, it was very devastating to see that, especially if it's your loved one. It was very hard. Since I didn't move, he decided to open up the back door. And he opened up the back door on the driver's side, and he said, hey, take a look in. But I didn't look in, but I was standing where I was standing. I happened to see the NYPD bag sitting on the back seat. I didn't know what it was. I said, hey, what is that? He said, oh, there's some stuff your son had, and he kind of dumped the contents out on the back seat. I did notice that with that door open, there was some baggies on the floor, like dirt or something, some bags of dirt or whatever, rocks or something. And that's pretty much it. Got to a point that he kept trying to get me to look in the vehicle. I told him I had enough. I need to get out of there. I need to digest what I've just seen. As a parent, you can imagine. That's very hard not having your son or your child, but you have a vehicle. I would swap that any time. And this officer seeing me that way immediately after I say, hey, I need to get out of here. I need to digest this. He said, well, you need to get this vehicle out here today. If you don't, we'll have it towed out and you have to pay storage fees. So I didn't know how to take that. That was a lot of pressure. I asked him, I say, sir, please, can you give me like 3 days? I'm not from Arizona. I just got here. And if you can just give me 3 days. 3 days, I could figure out what I'm doing with this vehicle, call the finance company or whatever the case may be to try to find out what I can do with this Jeep. And he gave me say, okay, he'll give me the 3 days. But in the workings, I already had some in the workings because I've been trying to find Daniel. Like I said, before this vehicle was found, I was also trying to get because of what Buckeye was doing at the time, I decided to try to get the Attorney General involved. So I've been working some things in the background. Like I said, I've been here doing my own investigation from day one. But in the meantime, because of that, some connections I had, I was able to secure a meeting with Chief Hall and Chief Sanders and all the other ones, Detective Biffin and the rest of them that I've spoken to within those 3 days. And so I was able to get that done. Went in that meeting because I had that picture. One thing when I left that vehicle, I had a picture. One picture that they gave me. Like I said, they gave me 2 maps and 1 picture. And that 1 picture was similar to this picture behind me. That's one of their pictures, by the way. And one thing I kept looking at it all night, over and over again, while I'm still trying to fight to get my son's story out there out there in the media and some other things I was doing, talking to volunteers every night. The last thing I was doing at night mostly was talking to volunteers and people who's reaching out. Just to tell you all, thank you. Like I'm still doing today. If you guys have that 200 number, I'm still taking the time to get to you, but I promise you, I try my best to reach out to everybody who reach out to me. One of the things I noticed on the picture was they had no forensic markers on the ground. And you see this picture, this is one of the pictures I took to use as a banner, but just for the idea of Dane's vehicle and everything. But this is so-called police pictures. These are police pictures here. It's not some pictures somebody just took or for themselves. Rancher took a lot of pictures, but it's not one of his. It's one of the Buckeye Police Department's pictures. You know, all the pictures they gave me from the scene. And not one thing you see in all the pictures they gave me, not one forensics mark on the ground. So in that meeting, that was one of my biggest talking points, was to figure out why they didn't do any forensics work on the scene. In that meeting, of course, I had I had someone there to observe with me to listen. And I don't know what he did, but I know I had to record it myself. I record everything. So I'm there in this meeting with Chief Hall and Chief Sanders, everybody. And in this meeting, they did admit that they didn't do any forensic work at the scene. And the reasons why, Detective Hanneman, is because he said that they didn't see any blood in the vehicle. I just how they know no blood in the vehicle, because in my mind, everything is based on some TV show. CSI, I'm not a expert, but you know, we all watch those shows. A lot of true crime people here right now, and they know all the things they could do with these lights and everything else to figure out if somebody wipe up blood or whatever the case may be. I knew something had to be somewhere, but they haven't done that. It's because they didn't physically see with their eyes any blood in the vehicle. Then I got to a point, asked other questions. I got a little uptight with Chief Hall because he kept using the word, because I'm like, y'all gave me 1 picture, but he kept talking about these pictures with an S, plural. So I had to correct him and say, hey, look, man, you keep using the plural pictures, but y'all gave me 1 picture. I mean, that's how they treat a family. Gave me 1 picture to go with, just 1 little picture. And I worked the hell out that picture, excuse my expression. But because I worked it and I looked at it over and over again, that's why I noticed about the forensics markers and some of the other things that's going wrong with that 1 picture. He promised me to get me that more pictures, and which they ended up doing. That's where this picture right here came from, one of the pictures they gave me. Also, you know, I said, hey, look, how y'all can say my son was even driving the vehicle? How y'all know he was even driving the vehicle at all? And again, with the smart remarks, well, it's his vehicle. He's obviously driving it, you know. And that was unacceptable to me. So long story short, I said, I need to know, you know, my son anybody else was in this vehicle. I needed some kind of forensic work done. Can y'all please do some fingerprinting? Make a long story short, they end up agreeing to that. They want to hold the car a little longer just to get that done. And they did it immediately after that meeting was supposedly. But after that meeting, as I was leaving, Detective Biffin stopped me. He said, "Mr. Robinson, can you meet me in the front where you park in the front?" I told him where I was parked, where my vehicle's parked. He said, "Well, I'll be out there shortly." He came out to the back of my vehicle. He took out these evidence bags out of his truck, and he gave it to me. He gave it to me. I put it in the trunk of my car. I didn't know what to do with this stuff. It was in evidence bags. And he said, "This is all your son's things." Okay. Put it in my trunk, took it to my hotel. Then I opened these things. Um, and from everything that I learned from that meeting, that prompted me to get a private investigator. Because you know what? I needed some forensics work done at the scene. I needed all of that stuff, and none of it was done. I didn't know what to do with this stuff in the evidence bags or whatever. I definitely wasn't going to open them. So I was able to transfer all that stuff over to my investigator at the time. Excuse me. And I was able to transfer that stuff to my investigator. And once he got those things, he immediately told me a couple of things that I had to learn myself. Like I say, I'm learning every day. While I'm any family going through this right now, if you really engage into your person's case and really engage in what's going on, you'll learn a whole lot. And I learned a lot about evidence bags. He pointed out to me, because he's a former police officer. He said anytime it's marked, because they have check marks. I didn't realize that. It has a sticker on the bags. Had these check marks. It's either you can have it for evidence, and then there was a box for safekeeping. The one for safekeeping was checked on every last one of those bags. Different bags he gave me. Even they gave me my son's backpack. You know what I'm saying, with a little zip tie around it, with a tag on it that said for safekeeping. Safekeeping means that they believe that after all this violence, they say that the vehicle patrol and did all the stuff, even with his clothes on the ground and his boots on the ground and all that kind of stuff going on, and he's still missing. They felt like with the brain injury now, they believe that he had a brain injury, that he's going to come back and get his things. And that's what he explained to me. He said, "Hey, when they got it for safekeeping, meaning that we just holding it for him till he come back and get them. But since he's not here, you came here as a father, we giving it to you." Once he heard that, he of course went to that apartment and asked for more things. And one of those things was the black box data that came from this vehicle. He needed that. The Buckeye Police Department said, hey, they didn't have no investigation. They had no leads to follow, and they gave him the black box data. All right. They also put it on their Facebook page that they exhausted all their leads. They have no investigation, right? So once my investigator got their information, he started going to work. He physically seen the vehicle, because like I told you, I had the vehicle towed out of there. Once they finished the fingerprinting, I had it towed out of that department. After he got the black box data, he was trying to get it towed out of there. Actually get because immediately he wanted to get this infotainment system pulled from the vehicle and have it analyzed in California. Once Buckeye got a wind of that, when he was coming to pick the vehicle up, they gave him a hard time, say, "Oh, now we want to keep this vehicle. We're not going to release it." But the problem was they already released the vehicle to me. Like I said, the day after the vehicle was found, they released the vehicle to me. So once they released that vehicle to me, they have lost the chain of custody for it. And their attorneys told them they have no rights to hold it. They had to get me to sign a paper that's saying that that Mr. McGrath, at the time, my investigator, can take it into his possession. So we had the vehicle towed out of there into a secure location. But like I said, is there was no investigation. So every time y'all hear guys, you hear about this investigation now, it just started. It started only because of you guys, the media attention, the attention that's coming into this case. But you got to ask yourself a real logical question. If you have an investigation, how come I have this vehicle? How come I have everything that's on the scene in my possession right now to this date? Why do I have those things and they don't? You can't do an investigation without those things. But you know what? They wanted this story that they came up with to be so true. They even came up with their own. When I have a private investigator, his primary job is accident reconstruction. That's why he was able to tell me everything about this vehicle and what was going on the scene. That this vehicle wasn't crashed there. That was the first place it was crashed, and things like that. Right? They didn't like They didn't like what he had to say. All the information they used his black box data, their black box data that they pulled. and they just know how to read it, or they didn't read it at all, didn't care, or what the case may be. But when he read it back to them, what it was found on that black box data, they didn't like that. When he gave the information about the infotainment system, they didn't like that. They don't like the fact that the damage don't match the terrain, about the red transfer paint on the side. Buckeye Police Department didn't like that. So what they did, instead of helping us out when we gave them all that data, they stopped talking to me as a father. They stopped talking to my investigator, and they decided to get their own PI, accident reconstructionist, just to say, bolster what they say, to keep the story to what they say. This guy haven't even seen the vehicle, never touched it, never touched my son's clothing, never examined the vehicle at all, but went to a Jeep dealership, not the company, went to a dealership, asked some worker at the dealership about the discrepancies on the dashboard and the computer, and they put it in their police report. And they take it as, like Chief Hall called it on CNN, the national, whatever they call him, his job title. And like that's gonna mean something. What means a lot to me is work, the real true work. And if you got evidence, or you say that you doing things based on evidence, you should have the vehicle, you should do forensic work at the scene, you should have all that. And that investigator they had should have done all of that. You know, that's ludicrous to me. But anyway, again, I'm David Robinson. I just want to give you a full story. Pretty much, it's a lot more to that. This is for all those who just coming in to this channel. Again, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. I just wanted to, I started this Q&A just to make sure that I give everybody the opportunity to ask you questions. This case did go national at one point. It's been through ups and downs. At this point, you guys are showing up again, helping me to keep this the search for my son going. Also to help me get this foundation off the ground. As you know, I've been out there to desert searching every week with volunteers. We cut the searches down. I had to cut them down to once every 2 weeks. I will be having to search this weekend for all that need to know. But I had to cut them down to once every 2 weeks because of financial reasons and also some other little issues with that. So God's blessing that you guys are, like I said, champions to everything I do out here. Everything I'm doing is because of you all, volunteers, to your help. You know what I'm saying? I'm a father just like anybody else. Just nothing super about me. The point is I'm a father who's passionate about finding my son. And you all are champions, are very much champion to this whole entire thing, because you know what? I wouldn't have been out there being able to search over 20,000 acres, for instance, of that desert terrain. It's big, it's huge, and I just put a dent in it. I wouldn't have been able to do that without the volunteers. They are family to me. Everybody who come out there are family. You all are family. You're supporting and helping me to search for my son. I wish that on every family that's out there that has missing people, because there's thousands every year of people that's missing, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have people like yourself, or have the media, or whatever the case may be, to be able to find their loved ones. So I'm really grateful, and I'm honored, and I'm really just thankful to you all for just showing your support and your love. I started immediately when I was going to look for my son. I started the pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. That was the first website. I started to put out information about my son's case. You all have been it's been growing. That site has been growing since. I started the second website at the time. It's called searchfordaniel.org. You still can use it, but it redirect to pleasehelp.finddaniel.com. Those are two websites I use. One was the information, and one was for the search. And like I said, without you all, everything you're doing so far, I would not be able to continue to be here. And I've been here, it's going on 10 months in a little while. It'll be going on 10 months at the end of this month. And, it's amazing. It's amazing that the search, it had my son been missing in a neighborhood somewhere, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier to go in the little area, but this desert is huge. I mean, some of you see the videos out there on the Dateline, the image that you saw just a while ago, for instance, you see that terrain. If you're out on the ground, it's very intimidating. But you know what? There's a lot of people out there. It's getting hot now. Again, we have searching this weekend at 6:45, and that's because of the heat. Kind of bringing the time back because it does get hot here. They call us Phoenix Suns for a reason. in this area. Out there, it gets really hot. But, like I said, I have passionate people out there. We out there working. So try to get out there, get the search done and get out of the desert before it gets too hot. But thank you again. I'm going to just go to the comment section, go ahead and start the questioning, answer these questions that you may have. Thank you, Kathy, for being here this morning. I really appreciate you coming out. Thank you, YMS, for being here. Thank you for coming out this morning. Thank you, Christina Lynn from Facebook. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you, Lois from North Carolina. I really appreciate you coming out and you being out here every morning. Thank you, Karen Lee, for being here this morning. Forever Curious. Thank you for being here this morning. Okay, I think I have someone here. Jennifer, thank you for being here. Cooley, thank you for being here on the YouTube channel. Forever Curious again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. Tub 883. Thank you for being here this morning again, showing your love and support. I really appreciate you keep coming out over and over again. So thank you. Also, thank you for coming out, McGlenn. Thank you so much. I don't want to say the first name wrong. Thank you, Saneed. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, it's very hard, but you know what? People like yourself make it a little easier. So I'm really grateful you coming out and showing your love to me and my family. Also, thank you, Kemps, for being here. All missing persons should have full investigations carried out. They should. And that's the thing. One thing about I learned also since I've been doing this is that I talk to a lot of families who have missing people. And that is true. One thing we know about our missing persons is we know our missing person. Outside of a coworker, outside of anybody else who have these opinions and suggestions, I think the main clue should come from the family. And when the family says they know this person patterns changing, you have some families out there that know certain people that, hey, look, this person will do whatever. That's how they are. That's some of my family. They know the difference between one family member from another. And whenever officers should approach these cases serious, they should approach it as criminal or something like that, and then work your way back to prove that it's not to go out there like they did Daniel and say, well, he's a grown man. Now here it is. He out in the desert now, missing. And his vehicle gone. Nobody don't know where he went further out into the desert. Think about this now. And their explanation of that is, I don't care. He's a grown man. If he wanted to leave, he can go leave. I mean, come on now. But anyway, that's the thinking of the Buckeye Police Department. So that kind of stuff should stop. And, we got to make sure we got to stop that because a lot of families suffering because of that. The longer the time go when they take the urgency is not there at the beginning, the less likely loved one. They make it harder. I just put it. It's not. It'll make it harder. It bring down the chances of you finding the person. So every day go by without you doing the thing. So that's why I'm out here doing what I need to do. That's why because I was not going to let that ball drop, and that's why I'm out there in the desert. I'm out there in the desert with the volunteers. That's why I'm out here creating these banners to. Asking you guys, I really, well, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful you guys helping because you know what? That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I need to find my son, and you all are helpful in doing that. So thank you again, and also please hit a like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I want to say that too. Last night, this channel had reached 1,000 subscribers, and that brought up they helped out a lot with this channel because now they helping this channel really grow. And be able to do more. I get to be able to do more. And I'm very grateful and I'm very happy that you all like, share, and subscribe to this channel because it's very helpful in everything you've done. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful for that. That's made a bit difference. And I'm going to really understand a little bit more about it. I have someone, Grizzly K from Grizzly True Crime. She always give me the ins and outs about how this thing work with the algorithms and things like that. So I'll be consulting with her today now that it's at the 1,000 mark and how to better utilize that to get the story out a lot farther. So please continue to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Karen Lee, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Don, thank you for being here on Facebook this morning. Thank you for coming out again. I'm really grateful every time you do come out to this. If you have any questions, anybody have any question, please put the word question there first, followed by your question. That helped me out as I'm coming down the comment section. I do have one. It don't have that on it, but if you guys can put a word question there or a big question mark, or a big capital letter Q there first. It'll help me identify that you have a question. It was Buckeye near Phoenix. Yes, it is. It's like 40 miles west of Phoenix. It say I have to be there for work for a few days in a couple weeks. Great. That's awesome. Yeah, but it's about 40 miles west of Phoenix. So it take the I-10 over there that way and get there. So it's not too far, but hey, it depends on how you drive, and we do have a lot of traffic here. Even on Saturdays, a lot of times they close the interstate down, so it may make it take a little longer. It actually taken me an hour from Phoenix to get there before. So it depends on the traffic. But thank you, Jennifer, for being here this morning. Forever Curious, thank you again. Leanne Ferguson, thank you so much for being here. Hello to you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Let's see who else I got here. I think I've had this before. Saneed McGlynn, thank you for being here from Facebook, and thank you for your comment. Well, this whole thing, this whole story with Daniel is very troubling at the beginning. So it's a lot that's really hard. But anyway, it was less than 3 miles, about 3 miles where the vehicle was located. This vehicle here, this ravine, and the well site where Daniel was last seen leaving from. So, all right. Thank you, She Rose Nation, for being here. I really appreciate you being here this morning, coming out again. One thing I want to say real quick too, I am having a fasting and prayer again that's coming up on the 20th. If you all can remember to, if you want to join in, you can join in with us. We will be having that. So if you want to join in on the 20th, I will be talking about that a lot. We did it before, and some things happened. I needed some miracles to happen, and those things did happen. So I think on that day, I was kind of share some of those things that happened for me and my family to keep me here in Arizona. So that's one of the things I know that God has stepped in and helped me as if just being here constantly in the fight for my son. So it take a lot of that, a lot of fasting and prayer, and I believe in it. A lot of people don't believe in it, but I do. I'm a real hard believer in fasting and prayer, and I know that it works. So, and one thing to do is make you a better person. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we think it had to be something the way we want it, but no. A lot of times, just doing it itself, just having that faith and doing something active, because faith is an action word. When you start doing things, it helps you as a person. So thank you all for joining the last time. Basima, thank you for being here this morning. RQ, thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Good morning to you. And all the searchers, you said all the fellow searchers. So I'm assuming that you was out there at the searchers. If you were, thank you for being here this morning on the Q&A. I really appreciate it. Also, blessings to all. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I really thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. Also, if you guys can please again hit that like, share, subscribe button, that really helps. I really appreciate it if you guys can continue to do that. Karen Lee, thank you again for being here, and thank you for being here from California. Let's see who else I got here. Do anybody have any questions? Yeah, you can put the word question there, followed by your question, and I can get it as I'm coming down the comment section. Jennifer Cooley, thank you for being here. That is a PDF of the flyers, Jennifer. If you like I said, I'm also willing to mail out flyers to people. But if you all want to make those flyers, yes, that's a PDF. If you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen there. Pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and there is a PDF there for you to make those flyers. But I do ask you, if you can, if you decide to make flyers, to make them postcard size, if you can. And there's a reason for that, is because postcard size, people can keep it in their pockets and their pocketbook and things like that. So it'll make it a lot easier. I had the flyers I had first when I first started this thing, those flyers are the size of a notebook paper, and I had to laminate them and things like that and try to make them durable. It's hard to have people holding a bit paper in their hand. They're going to look at it one time and then they'll get rid of it, because it's too bulky. You can't carry that around. and nobody's going to constantly carry around a big sheet of notebook paper and laminate it. So had to get, kind of come up with the idea of making it a postcard size and have all the information that we need. It pretty much look like this banner behind me. Try to keep everything consistent and have the information that is needed. Even have QR codes on it and things like that. So for those, like say you print it out and you make those flyers, you run out of flyers and you say, hey, you heard about the store, and then, oh my gosh, I ain't hear about that. They can take their phone and scan that QR code and then get the story on their phone. So it helps out in many ways. And that's the reason why I had the flyers designed the way it is. So that's the answer to that one there. Thank you so much, Jennifer, again. Thank you, Melanie, for being here this morning off of Facebook. Thank you, Barry, for being here, and thank you for your work and everything. Yes, we are up to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm really grateful. Just keep on sharing and subscribing. Thank you, Barry, for being part of the team, and I'm really grateful for you, all your hard work and everything you're doing. Thank you, Gwen, also for putting information up, for information about the upcoming searches and things. Yes, you all can visit please help finddaniel.com. They tell you how ways you can help, and I mean all kind of ways you can help, from searching to sign a petition to you name it. Everything is on the pleasehelpfinddaniel.com website. Also, Melissa, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for prayers. Like, again, I'm a person that believes in prayer, and I'm really grateful that you are here this morning. With your prayers, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for that. Also, thank you, Shauna, for being here this morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. And thank you for coming out supporting. Thank you for being part of the A-team, also part of the team, and coming out to help this morning, the Q&A, you know what I'm saying, and everything that you do in the background. I really appreciate your hard work, your dedication to helping me find my son. So thank you again. Thank you, Karen Lee, again, for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see who else I got here. Seema Turner. Thank you. That's from the UK. You're not from the US or UK, but you were okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here this morning, and I really appreciate you taking your time out and being a part of this Q&A. Thank you so much, RQ. Thank you also for being here this morning. Okay, if you have a question, please do that. When asking the question, please put the word question in there, or a big question mark, like the big red question marks. That helps a lot. When I come down the comment section, I'm looking for questions, y'all. If you have questions, please ask those questions. I'm looking for them, and I would like to answer those. If you have anything about the story that I gave of my son this morning, I can do that also. Also, I try to put out some information as I go along, so for you all to follow about what's going on in this case. But I'm gonna start with this too. That is the tip line behind me. I have a tip line scroll on the bottom of the screen. If you guys have heard something or know something, please use that tip line. Some people don't believe in what they call snitching. If you have a loved one, you hope somebody to do that, right? And that's what tip lines, anonymous tip lines for. This is a paid service that I pay for. This have live operators 24 hours, 7 days a week, and they will take your call. You can stay anonymous if you like. You know what I'm saying? They will not try to force your name or anything else like that. You can stay anonymous if you like. If you don't want to talk to anybody, the good part about the service is on the bottom of the screen, strolling there. If you do not want to talk to anybody, when you're putting in your tip, you don't want to tell something. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just text the word tip from your phone, and that form will come up, and you still can remain anonymous. So that helps out in a bunch of ways for those who definitely want to stay unknown and things like that. But sometimes people just want to talk to me direct. You talk to me direct. You don't want to talk to anybody. You want to put it on a form. You want to tell me what you know happened. You can use the number that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen right now. Also, but I can tell you that it's not a tip line. It's a direct number to me. I've used it as a public cell phone, meaning that everybody has that number who want it. And but I do get that number come directly to me, but I cannot guarantee you being anonymous. So unless you're using a burner phone or something like that, other than that, your number will show up and things like that. So it won't be anonymous. So The thing is, but if you rather just tell me directly, I really encourage that too. I would like to know what happened to my son. So, any information, please utilize any of those ways you can do that. Or you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and you have all the information there still. All right. So thank you so much. I do have the search that's coming this weekend. It's on April the 16th this weekend. It's at 6:45. And if you guys want to come out and help on the searches, all the information is on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com with the time and everything else that you can come out and help with both searches. With the search and also the city distribution that I have at 3:15 on Saturdays, every Saturday. So it'd be both of them this weekend and this weekend coming. So if you want to help in that way, if you can't come here because you live in another state or out of the country, there's other ways that can help. Again, on the bottom of the screen, you see it there. There's other ways you can help. You got the PDF on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You make those flyers yourself or things like that. Or if you want to help in that way, or you can volunteer in other ways on the tab you see on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You put your skill sets there. We're still working on it. We got a list of people, and I'm really grateful for all the people that did sign already. And so I'm really grateful for that. If you keep on doing that, we have a team that's putting those things together, and we're trying to put everybody in, ways they can help. Like you said, if you want to help in different ways. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you all for coming out here. Thank you. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this channel. That really helps. Like I said, again, with the algorithms. And we definitely appreciate that when you do that. Again, don't forget to hit that button there when you ask the question mark, or the big capital letters of the question, or capital letter Q. As I come down the timeline, I can actually see that. Thank you, Nancy, for being here this morning. I really appreciate you coming out this morning and share your time here. I think it's Jennifer Cooley. I believe I had you already, but thank you again for being here this morning. Patty, thank you for being here this morning. And again, thank you for your prayers. And let's see who else I have here. Anna, thank you for being here this morning. Sending a lot of good vibes, and I need that. I love that positive energy. So thank you so much for that, for coming out and giving positive energy. I need all the positive energy I can get. Every day is like the same day. Every day is like day one. Say we have a missing person, every day becomes just like day one, and it makes it very hard. So thank you so much for taking your time to be here and then giving us positive energy that you're giving. So I really feel that, and I really thank you for it. Thank you, Gwen, also for putting information out there for me. I really appreciate it. Okay, we got Shelly, Shell BGC. Thank you for being here this morning from Georgia. All right, thank you so much. Okay, good. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I really appreciate you taking time from Georgia to be part of the Q&A. I really appreciate it. You guys have questions. I hope I didn't miss any questions. I'm strolling down the comment section pretty quickly here to try to search for some questions here. Karen Lee, I don't know if I had you already, but thank you again for being here. And I really appreciate you being here. But I think you have something here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah, I want to say that I'm glad you brought up Kendall Ray. You know what? I was going to say this the other day. I'm still waiting on them. They would be calling me today. But I'm very grateful for Kendall Ray and her husband, the Mile Higher podcast and channel. Those two, they're very gracious and very nice people. They put my son's story out there. I love the people that follows their channel, have reached out really strongly in their support. Did a lot of donations to, you ought to see my their 200 number. That 200 number I just gave you, the direct number to me. It's amazing. It's amazing to see a line of these comments and these messages that I'm going through every day to try to get to everybody, to tell you thank you. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for just everything. Just thank you for just do kind words and things like that. But again, I'll say Kendall Ray and her husband, I really appreciate those two for having me on their show. Like I said, they put the word out, and that's what families need. Families need people like that who have a platform and use that platform to help other people. And that just amazes me that there's a lot of people out there who have hearts like that, I got the chance to talk to her husband in the truck. Real nice guy. You know, saying you can tell he's very concerned about the whole issue. He's not just going to do a story and just say, "Hey, I'm just going to just put something up that has some type of entertainment." To them, it's more personal. You know, the conversation we had in the vehicle itself, like I said, going up to their studio. You know, very, very wanting to know. You know, saying wanting to find out ways he can help in their way. So I'm, you know, both of them are just like that. So I'm really grateful for that team. You know, husband wife team that actually helped and also you all came on. I'm sure a lot of you are from the My Higher podcast that came in and like I said, pushed this channel up to 1,000 subscribers. And I really appreciate y'all being out here this morning. Much love to you. You're part of this family. Also, like I said, everybody's my extended family. And I'm really grateful that you all are helping. So thank you again. I really thank you, Karen Lee, for bringing it up, because that's one of the things I wanted to bring up in the introduction. My mind be on 1,000 things. And but I will be talking to them this morning. Once I finish the Q&A, I have a couple of things going on. I have a meeting, and also, like I said, talk to Kendall Ray and her husband this morning. So I'm looking forward to that. Because you know, I want to thank them personally for their help. So I finally got a chance to do so. They're very busy people. I talked to their assistant, and we finally got it set where we'll be talking this morning. All right. Thank you again, Gwen, for putting this information out. Multiple ways you can help is right there. I really appreciate that, that you're helping out. I'll see if anybody have a question. I do have one from Lakeisha. Thank you, Lakeisha, for your question. And thank you for your hard work and everything you're doing. You're constantly being out there, getting these flyers out every Saturday. I really appreciate you. Appreciate you doing that. So thank you. Thank you for the bottom of my heart. Your question is, why did G-Law put a hold on the results from the well mine that was inspected? Excuse me. Well, they didn't do a hold. I'm still waiting on an answer back from BLM, Bureau of Land Management. You know, they had to follow because they are. I have the results from the wells. We just haven't searched those mines. We thought those was wells. There's two wells that we thought was wells. Matter of fact, one of them is the one that Buckeye, in my opinion, did that photo op of. That's real near to this where this vehicle's found. It's funny because even then, even myself, we did a search of that we thought was well also. Excuse me. That we thought was a well also, and you know, because we couldn't get the wood removed back when we were searching out in the summer last year, before Buckeye did what I think is a photo op, and we tried to get down in there and with little limited resources that I have out there at the time. And we thought it was a well. And Buckeye came out and they stuck whatever they did inside there on that, what I think is a photo op. And they called it a well. But it's kind of funny because we later removed those wood with this G-Law company, and it turned out they are all both, not just that one, but the other one south of that, they both are mines. And so being that their mines was there to search those two that day, being that we found out they are mines, we had to regroup. And like I said, it's taken a while. I reached out to BLM once we established some things. It's a lot of things in the background that I can't put out here as part of my investigation. But I can tell you, it's some things being held because it's part of the investigation, and some things that was discovered that you all would know pretty soon, because I will be able to put that out. But right now I can't. But that's what's the hold up. The hold up is that, because I'm just waiting on the answer, to make a long story with that. Just an answer back from BLM. Bureau, when I say BLM, Bureau of Land Management, for those who don't know, Bureau of Land Management get back to us, and pretty much the company need that type of permission to work on that well site. On that mine, because it's very deep. As y'all see the video I put on here before about those mines, the wells, excuse me, that I had, the two wells, very deep, very deep. One is close to 1,000 feet deep. Other was 800 some feet. That's after on the water surface, after the water hit the water surface. So very deep wells and very deep mines. Those mines that we look down in it, just looking down, it's at least I say about 500 to 600 feet before you even hit the water. And then once you hit the water, we don't know how far down that mine go. These people go down there looking for gold or whatever they're doing back in the day, and it's amazing how far down in the earth they dig these mines. So, and this is they're vertical mines, so it has a lot of water. It's probably collected over years, and don't know how deep it is. So it's taking a while. For your question, it's just going to take a while, but we're getting to it. All right. Leanne Ferguson, thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful that you're coming out this morning. And also, Melanie, thank you for being here. Good morning to you from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much. You're from Arizona, so thank you so much. You already know that about the weather. I know there's a big difference in the weather from Tennessee now and Arizona. I don't know if you appreciate the coldness or the coolness of Nashville, Tennessee, but I love heat, but I love water also. So Arizona is definitely not a place that I would call home. I'd rather be out on Florida near the ocean somewhere, even California, some of those ocean areas. But thank you for coming out this morning. It is treacherous out there in that desert. That's why you guys come out to the desert searches. Please, that 6:45 is important. If you can make it, we wait around. Sometimes, most likely, the safety briefing don't end up happening until around 7, and that's because we're waiting on people to come in, trickle in, we get to talking and things. But we definitely would like everybody to be part of that safety briefing because we learned a lot. I remember when I first started the searches, didn't know anything about this desert terrain. Only thing I can go by, what I know was at the time, was my heat training and my training when I was in the military for Afghanistan. So it's a little different terrain, but I was able to get someone who's native, like yourself, Melanie, to Arizona, and knew about that desert more than I did. So I was able to consult with him. We had got searched for Daniel.org at the time, and got these people out there in the searches, and also we had those safety briefings, and those safety briefings continue on to this date. So thank you so much for coming out this morning. Thank you, Jim Cooley, again for being here. Yes, it's very hard. This case, and that's the thing is, I'm going to continue to fight for my son. And, sometimes it might be slow moving. Y'all hear the same story over and over again because it's a story about my son. This is something and you can understand the reason why the news media and some of these shows that I was on, from Dr. Oz to Red Table Talk to Joy Reid or whoever, all those things, been on those shows, they stopped talking about Daniel. Because you got to think about it. After a while, it's just over and over and over again. When I reach out to them, for instance, I had a candlelight visual. They first thing to reach back would be, what's new? What's new? Saying, because they can't put something, remind people, hey, put it out. Oh, just remember this guy, he's missing. That's not something new to them. We already know he's missing. So I tell every family, if you can, please, and you guys keep supporting. That helps out a lot. Every family who have a missing person, please create your own channel, create your own story, for your loved one. And you have people like you all that's listening, that support, that share, subscribe, or whatever the case. And like I'm asking you all to keep this channel out farther, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people haven't even heard about Daniel's story right here in Arizona. That's why we're able to pass out flyers every weekend here in Arizona and in Phoenix. We go to different cities outside of Phoenix, but right here in Phoenix, there's people that say, hey, I haven't even heard of some in Buckeye. I haven't even heard of your son's story. And that's amazing, because this world is big. It's a big place. So, of course, that happens. But thank you, Gizla from Grizzly True Crime, for putting us up. And thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for all your love and support. And thank you for everything you did. Thank you again for, I say this over and over again, and people know you're the reason why I have this channel going. You started it for me, helped me get it running, and I'm really grateful that you was able to do that. I can tell you what I wanted to do, and you gave me all your tricks and trade and how to keep this channel going and how to get it to this point. So I'm really grateful for your help and everything you're doing from the background. Also, for what you're putting up here, the petition is at 112,131 have signed, and I'm really grateful. And everybody who signed this petition, please go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and sign that petition. It's very important. Those petitions are your voice. So y'all are here to support. That is your voice. It's your voice, and it's not a signature. So you can look at it as a number. I look at that 112,131 as people. It's not a number. It's not just numbers. Those are actually individuals, and you guys, your voice can be heard, and that's your name. That's your name stamped there. You standing behind everything I'm doing here to fight for my son. You put yourself in a position of understanding that from a family standpoint. Hey, this could have been your child or your loved one that's missing, and what would you do? You'll be out here doing the same thing I'm doing, fighting hard, and you all are fighting with me. And so I'm really grateful that you all keep continuing to sign this petition. This petition, I remember when it was down to 10, when it was at 10 people that signed. And I'm very grateful for those 10, and saying the same thing. Those are 10 people who decided to sign a petition and be a part of what I'm trying to do, trying to get these laws changed. I'm trying to, fight, get some more attention to my son's case, to, saying fight. I had to fight. You had to keep continuing to fight. So those are people, not just numbers. So that's the way I look at it. So thank you again, Gisela from Grizzly True Crime. And also thank you for watching that Dateline NBC episode. No, I have not seen. That's the if you guys want to see that trailer, I'm still talking to the people in Dateline in the background, and one of them in particular, he calls me almost every other day just to say hello. I'm really grateful for him, named Robert Dean. I hope you don't mind saying his name, but thank you. I'm grateful for him for constantly checking up on me all the time. And, saying I really want to see if they also having a full episode. I just know that's a trailer that you guys see that I put out, and I'll just keep putting that out until we go a little farther with that. So thank you. Yeah, that was really grateful for them to have come out and saying do that interview with me and come out to the desert. They did a lot. So I'm grateful to Dateline for all they have done this far to help me as a father out here trying to find my son. So, all right, let me see if I have any questions here. Again, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. My son went missing on June 23rd out there in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona. And, I've been here since June 26th searching for him. And, because of you all, I'm still able to do it effectively. So thank you so much. And we're gonna get this. And you guys had donated. Like I said, I'm really the Mile Higher people, and also you all that's here already. Thank you for your donations and your help, because you definitely helping me getting this point to where I get these forensics done on that vehicle and everything else, because it's very important to have it done. I'm still getting there. I'm getting there. And I'm grateful that you all are trying to help me get there to getting those things done, because that's something law enforcement should have done at the beginning. That's something they should have did at the scene. So, you got to keep asking yourself a question. I don't care what you read in that report. One of the biggest questions I think they think that people, we don't have common sense. Why you didn't do the forensics work on the scene? If you're thinking, two things, they can't be double talking. One thing they say, hey, I can't do this. I couldn't get the camera footage that's out there on every traffic light. We ain't got nothing. Your son was driving around, I'm sure, with a cloaking device on. That's how I take it. We couldn't get cell phone data, ping data, because we can't get a warrant. A judge won't give us a warrant. They told me the judge won't give us a warrant because your son's case is not a criminal case. All right. We can't get the Uconnect information off the vehicle. I mean, everything Estes Department, they can't do it. Then they say, then they kind of came up with a story later, say, oh yeah, we did talk to Uconnect, and things came up with all zero grids or whatever they call it, all zeros or whatever. They didn't have nothing, so we can't get no location from it. So everything they're saying, they can't get it, and most of it is saying because they can't do it because it's not a criminal case. But then now all of a sudden, you guys are saying you have some kind of investigation. So I really don't get all of the stuff. So you kind of look at everything they're saying in the report. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not police bashing, but I'm telling you something. This is your loved one missing. And this is for all the people. I talked to a lot of people who have missing people who probably listen to this channel. This is your loved person missing. Your loved one missing. You got to go out there and ask these officers questions. There's nothing wrong with asking people who work for you. You know what I'm saying? They're taking tax dollar money and they making that their paycheck. So you're expecting them to do a job, and that job is to find your loved one. That's what they're there for. That's their job. And you're their supervisor. And if you own a company or you're a supervisor of that company, you ask your employees questions. It's okay to ask those employees with those blue badges, and those blue uniforms on, or whatever they got on, questions about your loved one. And it's okay to micromanage them to make sure they're doing their job. And you know, because if you don't, I can promise you, you have worse than what I have right here. What's going on? No forensics done on the scene. They didn't care. They're gonna just throw everything back to you and say, hey, the way I take it, hey, here's your son things. You need to get his vehicle out here. We're gonna have a total away. We getting it out of here one way or the other. You need to grab your son things. Here's his baggage or his little stuff. And you take your behind back to South Carolina. And I'm sorry, that's all we can do. No, you know, no, that's not gonna happen. No, that's not happening. So I'm saying you guys have to, as a family, you know, I know you love your loved one. I love my son. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You have to fight. You have to fight, and you have to ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions to people who wear a uniform and everything. You can't have there's no fear about, you can't ask these people questions. They're people just like you. They go to job. When I was in the military, I put that uniform on every morning. I had a job to do, and I know there's inherent risk. I know we all say, the police, this and that. Yeah, I was in Afghanistan. I fought. I had got injuries. Injuries from my duty just to fight for this country, right? And me and my battle buddy at the time, my best friend, every time we left the fob, we knew. We used to pray every time because we knew once we left that fob, we left that what we call the wire, we might not even come back. A lot of soldiers didn't come back. So not everybody that goes out there past that wire, go out there, do our convoy, comes back. So you know what? The thing is, but that's inherent risk. That's a risk you took when you put your hand in and you raise your right hand and you swore in and to come do this job. I'm not asking nobody to cry for me if I would have died in Afghanistan. That was my job. I knew that's what I was supposed to do. That's what I signed up for. And damn it, I had to do my job. And that's what it is when you're a police officer. I don't care about your feelings and what you care and this and that. It's about your job. You sign up for it. That's your job, to serve and protect. And that's your job, and you're supposed to take it and approach it that way. And if you can't approach it that way, you shouldn't be an officer. You shouldn't be an officer. You shouldn't be a detective. You can't take it with pride, and you forget your sleep. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. When I was in Afghanistan, we didn't get no sleep. It barely ever got sleep. You know, so it's our job. You know what I'm saying? I hate to sound kind of mean, but that's the way it is. It's our job. You say that's what you want to do. You sign up to do it. And just like the man said before you sign up, they always ask you, nobody put no gun to your head to make you do this, right? Nope. Nobody threaten you, say, hey, you need to sign up and join the military. Nope. You do this on your own accord, right? Yep. You know, same thing, police officer. We have to always kind of think about that. So when you ask them questions, you have the right to ask some questions. You have the right to demand them to do some work. That's their job. You know, I know they got families too. I had families when I was in Afghanistan. They worried about me. Their families worried about them. I understand that. At the same time, it's their job, and their families know it's their job too. You know, so here you go. Question: how did Daniel's job know the rancher had photos of Daniel's vehicle? And you know, that's a good question. You know, I do not know. I do not know. All I know, that rancher told me that at the scene, like I told you, again, thank you, Keith, for bringing that up. Chief Hall and the rancher only came to my searches only once. And it was ironically, like I told you, I've been having these searches well before this vehicle showed up at the scene behind me. And I was out there every week with the volunteers, which we was out there using more of the ATV, UTV type deals because we were looking for Daniel's vehicle and we were looking for him as a rescue mission. But when that vehicle showed up on that 19th, right? I think it was on a weekday. It had to be. It was on a weekday. Like I said, not Chief, but Detective Biffin the next day on the 20th told me about the vehicle, of course. And I still had a search that weekend. I still had a search going on that weekend. I think we was meeting at 5:45 in the morning during the time it was dead in the summer heat. And when I got there to my searches, there was a couple things happened. My then search coordinator, he was running a little late. And I didn't know the reason why he left, because he came up there. He told me, he said, hey, look, we're going to meet in this area called the quarry. That's what we used to call it back then. And I didn't know what that was at the time. But, he's a guy that I'm working with too. He know about the desert. He live out there. And he said, hey, this is where we're going to meet. Because we talked about in our little meetings, saying that I'll have a meeting every Wednesday before the searches. Okay, so we have all that straight. Okay, agreed to that. This is where we're going to meet, down in this little quarry area. Got the volunteers down in the quarry area. A little while later, he came showing up. I seen his vehicle because I was wondering where he was at, because I needed to get my searches going, get it started. And he showed up he had a vehicle and another vehicle following behind him. They kind of look identical. I knew his vehicle, and I was wondering who this other vehicle was. And when it got there, it was weird. It was Chief Hall. One of them was Chief Hall, following my search coordinator at the time. First thing Chief Hall did when he got the vehicle, he got introduced to me by the gentleman that usually I don't want to put his name out there right now, but he introduced me and my daughter, and he kind of just said a few words, and he just went straight. I started yelling, hey, everybody want to know this vehicle was found, blah, 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 this bit loud, grandstanding type deal. Me and my daughter look at each other like, okay, this police department hadn't even showed this spot to us. He showed it to us by coming out there, yelling out loud, hey, come follow me. Y'all ain't got to drive it. We can walk on up there, So I have some video footage of that. I may play it here one day. I'll put all that stuff together. And Chief Hall led us up to over the hill, and right where the quarry at. I'm like, okay, me and my daughter look at us. Oh, wow, we're going to see where my son's vehicle was found with all these people with us now, all these people. It wasn't personal. It wasn't nothing personal about it. It wasn't something the Buckeye Police Department being cared enough to show us as a family. It was Chief Hall himself leading this big crowd of people to stop my searches. Leading crowd of people to this location. When we got up there, he pointed us out to the wrong location, right? I didn't know. I'm looking at the picture, and one thing I didn't notice was behind this picture of my son's face right here. It's a stump. And I saw the picture. That one picture gave me. I said, "Hey, this don't look kind of right." But he said, "I was here," blah blah blah, and this and that. So I said, "Okay, I guess this man knows what he's talking about." I felt a certain way, and my daughter felt kind of, of course, it's an emotional thing for a family member to know this is down in this ravine is where my son's vehicle was found. A little while later, while he was at that grandstanding talking about the cartels, how the cartels run us at that area, and they land their planes on Sun Valley Parkway. He just talking all this, like standing up there like he was Moses or something in front of the people, just talking out. And my daughter came, knocked on my shoulder, said, Dad, this man wanted to speak to you. He said he's a rancher. The rancher showed up. Rancher told me exactly where the vehicle was found. He said, I don't want found it. He introduced himself, told me a little short story. He introduced his wife. And he pointed down this hill and said, that's where your son's vehicle is. He said, I'm the one that found it, pretty much. And he was right, because the glass was on the ground, right? Chief Hall heard him talking. His face looked kind of funny. He just walked off. He just stopped talking and immediately walked off, walked past us, walked over the hill, got in his vehicle and left. That's the last time I ever seen Chief Hall at my searches, ever, from this to this date. The rancher told me he had some pictures. He said he took a lot of pictures at the scene, because I was a little uptight when I had a conversation with him, that the Buckeye Police Department only gave me one picture. I had one picture to work with. And he said, oh, don't worry, I got these pictures. I took it at the scene before the police showed up. And he said he was going to give them to me. So that's a picture that you're talking about. Now, this was a conversation between me and the rancher. It wasn't with the worker or anything like that. So how they knew about these pictures, I do not know. But they did. The rancher later on did furnish those pictures to me. Now, but the rancher did describe to me later when he was giving those pictures that he wanted me to get them quickly, because his job, Daniel's job, was inquiring about these pictures, and they was harassing him about the pictures so much that him and his wife couldn't even eat dinner, because they was constantly harassing and badgering them about getting access to these pictures. And so he wanted to make sure he gave them directly to me himself before anybody else got hold to him. I'm assuming he's saying also the Buckeye Police Department, whatever the case may be, but he gave me those pictures, and I still have them to this date. So I don't know how they found out about it, but I do know they definitely was harassing them for it. So thank you for your question. And that's a long answer. So forever curious, thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Don, again for being here this morning. RQ, thank you again for being here this morning. And if y'all have any questions, don't forget to put that big question mark, the Q or anything like that to help. Saying me find your questions as I'm going down. So thank you for all your questions as you have them. So thank you. And if you have any information that you need to learn about this case, please go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and all the information will be there in some form of fashion. So thank you all for doing that. Going to support the pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Upcoming searches and things like that, all that is on that website. So thank you again. All right, my name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. For those who just joining in, I'm here doing this Q&A again every other morning. It's gonna be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now, today I have this Q&A, but then Wednesday Q&A will be two of them. There'll be one in the morning at 6:45 here Mountain Time. That'll be 6:30 here Mountain Time, and it'll be 9:30 East Coast time Wednesday morning, and also I have a evening Q&A prime time, I call it. I've been suggested that from my team to give people who are on the East Coast and things like that easier time to join in on Q&A. That'll be at 5:30 here Mountain Time, and that'll be 8:30 on the East Coast. So if you guys PM, if you guys want to join in on both of those, please do so. And I have it up there on the website, on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so you guys can be reminded when I have those. So thank you. If you come along and ask your questions then. Thank you, Cat Lover 33, for being here this morning. Coming out, taking your time. GM McGee, thank you for being here this morning and sharing your time. Denise Crawford, thank you for being here, and thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the prayers. I need those. I need all the prayers I can get to continue on this fight for my son. So thank you for your continuing prayers. I'm looking down this. You probably can tell I'm looking down the timeline, the comment section for your questions. If you have them, do just like Nancy did here with the big Q. Thank you, Nancy, first of all, for being here on Facebook. But put that big Q there, and then followed by your question. Whatever became of the fingerprints? I've been asking that department for those fingerprint information, and you will. I am still working on that for you, and to get all the information like that, if I can get it, But I can tell you one thing. I know they can probably blanket that, find out about that fingerprint under. They probably say something like, "Well, we have an investigation," and they can't release certain things on the investigation that they'll say. But that's one of those convenient talking points they can use. Just like, I don't want to do nothing for your son, so I'm gonna make sure this is not a criminal investigation. We're gonna keep it at just a missing person, because anytime they ever turn my son's case into a possible criminal type investigation, that means they have to actually do work. That means they have to spend money on my son's case, like they did that big national. And I'm not gonna keep bringing those people family case up. I can bring the gentleman, that guy's the murderer, his part up. They spent thousands of dollars a day on just finding this criminal, right? His remains. And so long as they keep it, he just missing it. Like I said, they say they gave him things for safekeeping. His things are bad. He's gonna come back for his things. As long as they can keep that going, this Buckeye Police Department, as long as they keep that going legally by law. I learned a lot. By law, they don't have to do anything. They can do exactly what they're doing now, nothing, and just write things in the report just to entertain you all. Like I said, actions speak louder than words. But that's to entertain you all. And a lot of people are pro-police. I'm pro-police. And some people are more pro-police to a point where whatever they say, they believe it. But it takes, and it's sad to say, if it happened to your loved one and you had to deal with these departments and stuff like that, then you understand that what they say is not always true. So you'll learn that. So I'm not saying everything they say in the report is totally false, but a lot of it is. So it's sad. It's sad to say But those things that are false is what's causing the problem of me finding my son. It's what's causing the problem of things not getting done. It's causing the problem of you guys. I had to ask you all for donations and help, and when they have the resources there, so it's causing all those problems that I've been out here for 9 months, going on 10 months, doing this, fighting for my son. There's a lot of things I already do know, so I can't tell you. That's what I'm saying. Everything you all doing is fruitful because I have a lot of answers that I didn't know that I know now. Of course, anytime you have an investigation, just like them, they can say, "Hey, we can't say this, can't say that, can't put this out, can't put that out," and it's common sense. So that's some things I do have to keep to myself. But you know what? There's still more answers I need, and I'm really grateful you guys helping me get those answers. Please use the question mark. Please use the big the letter the word question there before your questions, and that definitely will help. Me finding your questions that come down. Also, thank you, Mary Vaughn, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Good morning to you for being here this morning, Oklahoma. Thank you for being here again. I really appreciate you being here from YouTube. Thank you for being here this morning to join in on the Q&A. I'm getting close to the end of this Q&A, and if you guys have questions, please ask those questions. And thank you also for the congratulations. I really appreciate that, Keisha, Lakeisha. That's really grateful. I'm really grateful for everybody who signed up for this channel and getting this channel up to 1,000 subscribers. All right. Thank you, Karen Lee, for your question. Like she did, if you guys have a question, please put that big question mark, question word question, or big question mark, or a big capital letter Q. How can they justify how they investigated, or rather didn't investigate the vehicle? That's shocking. And that's the thing is, this, if y'all put yourself in my shoes, is for one more, or my family. I say mine because I'm the one standing in the gap for my entire family. I'm the only one on the ground doing the things I'm doing. I can't say that, but that don't mean my family is not out there suffering and wanting to find the answers to Daniel. What I'm saying is, if you put yourself in my shoes and you physically was shown this right on a piece of picture, and you're on the ground, and you're looking at this officer explaining that to you, right, and you already on the ground, desperately, doing everything you can humanistically possible without the help of the police department. Not one, they didn't come out to help put not one dime on my searches out there, right? You asking these volunteers, people you don't know, you sitting up all day and night trying to figure out how to put a search together. First of all, you magically, with grace of God, somehow get a search going, right? And you out there working very hard every Saturday with people you don't know, relying on strangers to be on the side of you, and you, the only person that is close that you're supposed to be serving to protect, that you can rely on, you think you're relying on, and you really trusting, is law enforcement, right? And then they show you this pictures like this. You see, there's one picture, with the picture they showed me is different from that one, but it's similar. And they show you the picture, and then they explain, hey, your son's clothes on the ground, your loved one's clothes on the ground, their socks, even their underwear, socks and everything on the ground. What's the first thing you'll be thinking? What do you think they would be thinking if it was their child or their loved one? Some criminal act, right? And then they turn around and treat it like it's, hey, here's his things or that person's thing. They come back for it. We don't care. See you later. Just get this vehicle out of here. And how did you feel being treated that way? And they know you're on the ground. It's several things that happen with this whole Buckeye type deal for me as a person from South Carolina. I come in this town and I've been on the ground, like I said, get ready to go on 10 months. Out there every week I'm losing track of how many weeks it's been now. And not one time you have the mayor of that town acknowledge you. Think about this. The story went national. It went national. CNN all on the ground, Dateline all on the ground, Paramount Films all on the ground. Just you name it. AMC on the ground. All these people asking them all these questions, calling from all over the place, from Red Table Talk to Dr. Oz, and all of them hitting you up. And not one time the mayor say, hello, Mr. Robinson, we're sorry that you're going through this. We're going to try our best to find out what happened to your son or whatever. They don't give a crap. Like I say again, action speaks louder than words. And not to this day, even to this day, I think they're just hoping I just go away. That I really believe that they're hoping that I go away. And it ain't no justification for your question. There's no justification there. It just that I'm still here, and I'm going to continue to fight, and you all continue to fight with me, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. Tia Wildflowers, thank you for being here this morning. Yes, and I'm really grateful for the new subscribers and everybody who came into this channel and helped me get this channel out farther. I'm really grateful for that. That's a very big accomplishment, and I'm really grateful. I mean, I looked at the number last night. I was alerted by my team, one of the team members, and I was really happy to see that it jumped up to that amount. So I'm really grateful for everybody who signed in, who subscribed, and who shared. It's all because of you. Thank you so much. All right, Shannon Naylor, thank you so much for being here this morning and being a part of the Q&A. I do have a question here from Kathy Cheatham. Thank you, Kathy, for being here again, being here. And I know you on Facebook and on YouTube, but thank you so much for being here. David, my theory is that the red truck or SUV to roll Daniel's Jeep into the ravine to fake an accident. What do you think about this theory? Well, you know what? One thing is we do know, and that's because of my accident reconstruction, is very capable and knowledgeable of his experience on accident reconstruction, and that's what he does, right? He's not a big investigator, big detective, criminal detective, and all this kind of stuff. But he is an accident reconstructionist, and he do know, everything about traffic and vehicles, right? He was also a traffic motorcycle cop. So the thing is, he was able to, with all the data, and not just data. He looked at the physical evidence, because you have the physical evidence that don't match the terrain. And one of the biggest things was, like you said, that red transfer paint on the side of the vehicle that's laying on the ground. There's nothing in that desert out there of red out there. So that automatically suggests that, the vehicle wasn't even done there. Then there's 11 additional miles. And where do you think he got the 11 additional miles from? He got it from the black box data. We call it black box data. The data that came from the ECM, I guess you call it, the computer, the vehicle's computer. And he didn't pull that data. Buckeye pulled that data. Buckeye, like I told you again, when they say, hey, we didn't have no more leads to follow, we didn't have no investigation, they told him first, we're not even investigating this. We didn't have no investigation. And that's the reason why they gave it to him. If they had an investigation, why do you think they're going to give him that data? They would have kept it, right? No, they gave it to him, just like they gave me a final report. In that meeting I had with them, they told me, hey, this is the final. Well, they gave me a partial first. Gave me a partial report. And then after that, they promised me a final. The detectives had to finish writing this little stuff up, and they call it a final. That's why the copies I have, both of them, are unredacted copies, right? So anyway, that was the final report, but all of a sudden now they got all these other reports. But the thing is, with the question that you asked for, the theory, there's a lot of theories out there. I have my own theories. I don't put a lot of my theory out there too much, but I do know, in my opinion, it's foul play. But, for a theory that you're saying, it's plausible for anything, because you know what? We do know that red transfer paint came from somewhere. We know that vehicle was put there. Just taking the testimony of the rancher to, it stuns me that the rancher's story. I have a full recorded conversation with the rancher, and also the information that he provided. That should be in that report. He's the one that found the vehicle, right? Everything said. It's funny how everything's so selective with this department, what they want to put in that report. Everything in that report leans towards Daniel having some kind of mental instabilities to, like he just wanted to disappear, to, everything like that. You know what I'm saying? This type deal. Oh, he's had some trouble going on mentally, or whatever the case may be. But they don't want to put in things like, and they say they verified the guy's story. The guy that said he also saw Daniel that day, and he said he was acting normal and he was very alert, and he gave him an idea about where he's supposed to be shooting, even though he lied about him being a federal law enforcement agent. Buckeye told me, they say his story is credible, and they checked it out, they vetted it. So regardless I use them or not. You don't hear me talk about them no more a lot because I have my different opinions a little bit. But you know what? They saying that, but they didn't put in a report. Then they also not put in a report, like I said, the rancher's account. That rancher's account is very important to the story. It's very important. You know, I may start doing that, start releasing some of those things that the rancher told me. Like I said, recorded, told me, and I'm using it. Well, you know, some things I'm keeping to myself more so because this is an investigation, and eventually all the stuff had to come to a head. So, but I can say this is that his story and the details of his story that I do put out there should be in that report. Like for instance, when his story is he saw this vehicle before the officer came here there to do that. He took his pictures, and one thing he observed as an expert, they call him this. They call some worker at Jeep an expert, right? Say we had an expert at Jeep, like a worker at Jeep. They didn't call Jeep company itself, but they call that expert. Don't want to call this rancher an expert who lives on that land, who's from that land at the time, and say, hey, the vehicle was clean. You look at those pictures you have. Y'all look at that vehicle with the busted tires. Those tires got busted when they pulled. That's how violent they pulled that vehicle out of that ravine. They bust those tires. Those tires were none of them was flat or anything like that. So, but they don't want to take those, listen to those certain things what the rancher had to say that would pull what you're saying, Kathy, about this red transfer paint. The whole plausibility that this vehicle was dumped. You'll never see anything in that report that we resemble that possibility, because they want to make sure it sticks that some reason that he wrecked this himself. He took, and this I'm gonna say it my own way. He wrecked this vehicle himself, had all this rolling and all this kind of violency. And we know out there right now at the intersection, it'd be some accidents less involved than this, and people die or get hurt, re-injured. You can go through a 35-mile-per-hour crash and hit the back of somebody's car, like I did before, and crack a sternum or something when I was in my 20s. So you can get all kind of injuries, right? But somehow he did all this rolling, twisting in this vehicle, 2 impressions on the windshield, and the glass broke out. And the funny part, that glass on the driver's side, no glass inside the car, but it was on the outside of the car. All those moving around, all this stuff happening, and all the airbags deployed. And after all of that, you say he didn't have no injuries at all. He ain't hurt, not a little bit. That's the good news, Mr. Robinson. But at the same time, saying he had a head injury. And with this whole head injury, disoriented or whatever, he had a sense enough to kick out with his superhuman strength. Because I'm telling you, it's no glass in that sunroof with that vehicle. It's called a panel. There's a panel on there made into that vehicle. And with his superhuman strength, he kicked out of that panel, and he got out the vehicle. And he somehow, some reason, because of all that, he shredded his clothes. So you got to ask yourself that question. If you was looking at that from an investigator standpoint, or even just a common sense person, you're asking a whole bunch of questions just to say, no, we're gonna stick with this. He wrecked the vehicle, he rode out, and he just walked off. And okay, let's even say this happened. Let's say it happened the way the police department said it happened, right? And he just rolled off, and he went out in there, and he succumbed to his injury, or he just joined the monastery. Then what? Why you not out there finding out what happened to him? Y'all said he had a head injury. Wouldn't that make him an endangered person out there in a 120-degree temperature out there? You think because he did it to himself and this happened, we don't have to go look for him. He did it to himself. Here's his things. He's gonna come back for. We don't have to look for him. He did it to himself. He's a victim of his own doing. Like he's a criminal or something. No, my son is a geologist. He's a scientist. And I keep putting that again. He's more educated than everyone in that apartment. And if this would happen to one of those, and I'm not saying that my son is better than, because nobody's better than my son, and my son is no better than nobody else. What I'm saying is, this guy, if that was a police cruiser, blue police cruiser sitting there in that ground right there, you guys know that wouldn't happen this way. And I keep saying it over and over again because it's the truth. And we know how this whole thing go down. All the Blue Lives Matter people will be out there, and everything else. You know what I'm saying? This whole thing would have been so different. It would have been so different. If it was one of the officers' loved ones, it would have been so different. Every officer out there in this country would have been on the ground. Would have been me doing the searches on every week with people, volunteers from people in their 70s I even had a pregnant woman out there in the desert. I found out. I encouraged that. I was really hurt to hear that. But that's how passionate you all are to come out there to help with the searches, right? But not one officer, think about this now, not one officer from anywhere in the state come out there to help me in them searches. Not one. Bring their expertise out there. Hey, Mr. Robinson, I can help you with these searches. I know you're a novice. You're just a passionate father trying to find your son. You're not an expert. You don't have the equipment. You have to beg people for money, whatever case may be. I want to help. Not one law enforcement came out there to help me at all, period, to this day, you know. But if something would happen to one of those officers or their family members, you best believe every officer, every Blue Lives Matter flag and helicopters and motorcycles, all of them would have been out on that ground searching for that one person with thousands of dollars. What y'all see on GoFundMe, they would spend that in a week. You know what I'm saying? Probably in a day. Would spend that kind of money in a day searching for that person. They would have been burning up resources to help. Look, my son is important too. He's just as important. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's the reason why I have a foundation coming up, because there are other families just like that who feel the same way I do. My person is important too. And you know what? And this country has plenty of money. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world, right? We have plenty of money, but they find ways to make money, pull money wherever they want to pull it from, out of themselves, wherever they get it from, just to do what they want to do. But whenever it comes to using the money that you put in for your tax money to burn up money to find your loved one, they come with all the excuses in the world. And the sad part is you'll have people that champion their excuses. It don't be champion their excuses when it happens to you and it becomes personal. But when it's not personal, yeah, it's easy to say, well, they may not have the funding. Well, they come up with funding for everything. They came up funding to get a private investigator of their own just to try to back up their story because they didn't want to go with what my investigator found. They didn't like what he found. So they pull out money whenever they want to pull out money and how they want to pull out money and when they want to pull out money. And they go to their little city councils and meetings and with their little mayor and whoever, and they vote on whatever they want to vote on. You know what I'm saying? I see how those meetings go, wherever they want to put money into. Hey, I'm sure that could have came up in the agenda. This case about my son, nope, we ain't gonna put no money into that. We ain't put no money into that. So y'all need to do what y'all need to do to get this dad to go home and get this thing over with or whatever you got to do, because we're not gonna put money into that. You know, that ain't gonna be part of our budget. We're not gonna take these millions of dollars and put that into that. No, ain't no way. I need to put some of that in my own pocket, I guess. I don't know where they put it at, but we're not gonna do that. So anyway, thank you all again. Get ready to get off this Q&A because I started going off a little farther. So I'm gonna keep the faith, D-Love. You're right. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget about the fast and prayer on the 20th. I'm going down this comment section really quick here because I'm getting ready to. Okay, I do have a question here. Thank you again, Cat Lover 33. What do you think occurred? I believe foul play happened. I'm not gonna give my full theory of that, but you know what? Because theories will go close to what I already know. So I'm not going to give my own theory right now, but I do thank you for your question. But I do have answers to pretty much know what happened with my son. And I'm still searching for him and I'm still working on it. So thank you. Very smart idea to do a postcard size. Yes, for the flyers. Yes, that's what I have to do to be able to get those flyers out for people who want to keep them in their pocket, the pocketbook and things like that. So thank you. Okay, T. Johnson, thank you for your question. Does company provide tracking devices and work cell phones for employees while working in the field? No, they do not. I don't know what they're doing now since we started bringing up some things to their attention. But when my son was working there with Major New World, no, they did not have any cell phones. They provided no tracking devices, no nothing. My son, in fact, he worked Instacart because some things he had to provide for himself. That he later would get reimbursed from the company. They get an expense report they put in every week, whatever money they spend out there just to go to these sites. Sometimes my son had to go to different cities to go to these well sites and spend a night in a hotel or whatever case would be. And those things cost money. But they don't provide those things. So like I said, they give it to him later. And by the time they pay him his money, his bills can be late. So he decided to work Instacart to make sure he's on time. So no, they do not provide those type deals. And matter of fact, one of the things that was suggested by my aunt to them is why they send out these workers, because a lot of other companies with field geologists and things do not allow their workers to go out alone, saying, to these remote locations in the desert. But this company did. So, and I don't know if they still do, but they did. And that's just one of the things they do, the way they do things. And, that's problematic. So, yeah, they should have more of a safety precaution. All right. Question. Has there been any sightings of Daniel? There's a lot of sightings of Daniel, especially, when I say sightings of Daniel, there was a lot of leads that would suggest there were sightings of Daniels at the beginning. I don't hear them anymore. I used to always have to go out and with the investigator time to follow some of these leads. They didn't fan out, but people always often even sent pictures of one. For instance, I remember guy, they said, "Oh, this definitely him," and they sent the pictures and it wasn't Daniel. And one thing I was asked to do too, if when people did have us going out there searching, taking these leads in different cities, it's ironic none of them ever took a picture. And that was some of the problems. Like they didn't ever take a picture, so they didn't take the picture. And I was like, okay, why you don't take a picture of the help? Say the help identify the person that they think is Daniel. So yeah, we do get a lot of leads in the past. I haven't gotten them lately, but yeah, at the past when Daniel first kind of went missing, I used to hear a lot of little things like that, suggesting that maybe someone saw something. But yeah, I continue to say, if you guys do think so, that's what anonymous tip line is for. And also, please use that anonymous tip line just for tips, please. Possible sightings. If you have pictures, please take the picture. If you think you have possible sighting, if you know anything, say something. All that. Use the tip line for that. That's what it's for. Please do not use it for. Well, Mr. Robinson, I think you should check this ravine on grid, such, unless you know something. You say, hey, you need to check this because I know this is where you're at, because maybe you put him there, or maybe you know the person who did. So whatever the case may be, or he's there because you've seen him this place or whatever, and he's walking around doing this, and he's hiding out somewhere. Whatever the case may be, you can do that on. But if you got something like, hey, Mr. Robinson, you need to check the well sites out there, or have you checked those well sites up north or this place? That's something you can please use the 803-200-7994 number, and ask those, make those comments and things like that, or suggestions and things like that. I really would help that. I really would appreciate that if you can do that, because that'll help that way, instead of because sometimes I have to go through these tip lines and my investigator, and and some of those things I'm looking at are like, wow, which I'm grateful you all are doing it, but sometimes it clogs up the tips, and you can't tell, have to go down there and find the ones that's actually something we can use. And like I say, we had to follow those leads, but I haven't seen anything, that's my investigator did, but I haven't seen anything that somebody said, hey, I seen Daniel here or there lately. So, so I'm looking for those too. Lola, thanks for being here again. Thank you, Duo AM, I am, for being here this morning. Thank you for your hard work and everything you do. I've been knowing you for a long time, so really grateful that you're here this morning. It's good to know that you're out there in the comment section. I really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much, and thank you for putting that up in your support. So thank you so much, and I hope to get to talk to you soon. All right, thank you, Yunu, for being here this morning. Contact Mr. Robinson, that's the number, 803-200-7994. If you have any comment you want to say to me or anything like that, support, suggestions, whatever the case may be, because this is new to me. Again, I'm going to always keep saying that I'm not a professional. I've gotten better, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons, gotten better at this. Or since I've started at the beginning, I wouldn't be a person even want to get in front of a camera, but I'm able to do this now more easily. And, all this come from experience now, but at the same time, so I'm still learning. So anytime you guys want to use that number to give me some type of advice or anything, that'll help out tremendously. So, I know my team's going to get on me at the while, say, Mr. Rousey, you always on this Q&A lately longer than I say I'm going to be, and it is because I'm looking at the time and I'm really rushing. I do have a 9 o'clock appointment coming up, so I really had to go down off this. If you guys have any more questions, please come out to the next Q&A on Wednesday morning at 6:30 a.m. They'll be here at 6:30 a.m. on the Mountain Time here in Arizona. And also, if you want to, if you can't come out Wednesday morning, I will have a primetime Q&A that'll be at 5:30 here on Mountain Time PM, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time for the prime time, and that's 8:30 p.m. For East Coast prime time. Again, that'll be 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time. That'll be 9:30 a.m. East Coast time, like it was this morning, and then like I said, the prime time. So 5:30 p.m. So on and on. So thank you so much for being here this morning. Again, I'm Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. Hold on one second. I'm gonna do this one question here. Again, from Karen Lee, is the latest flyer available in JPEG format to use for posting on social media like Twitter? I want to be sure I am using the most up-to-date flyer. Twitter doesn't use PDF. Well, I can see if I can get that somehow, but no, I do not have that for right now for Twitter, Instagram, and things like that. But I do have it for for you to make those flyers. But that's a good suggestion. I'll talk to my team and see if we can, if that's something we can do or we need to do, is provide that. Also, if people want to share it on like I say, the social media. So find a way to do it that way. And I can probably get that up. So thank you for your question, Karen Lee. I'll look into that and hopefully I have that answer for you. So thank you all again for coming out to this Q&A. And again, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. And if you have any questions that I missed, I really apologize for not being able to answer your question, answer your question, or get to your question. But I need to start getting ready for appointments that I have this morning. It's several of them, and I need to start getting ready, of course. So thank you so much for being here on the Q&A. I see a lot. Now I'm seeing all these questions coming up, and I really want to get to them. I really want to answer all your questions. I'm going farther down the comment section. It took me a while, but again, I apologize. Please, if you can, I may even try to do an extra little Q&A this evening. If you guys put in the comments that you would like to have that to answer your questions, I may can do that later on the day if I find time. Just have a little special session. But other than that, it'll be Wednesday morning. I'm sure my team will talk me out of it, but it'll be Wednesday morning when I come on the next Q&A, 6:30 a.m. Again, like I said. So God bless you. Thank you so much, and I really thank you for your time. And thank you again for getting me up to 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to hit that the share, like, subscribe. That really helped the whole bunch. I'm very grateful, and I really, really, really love you. I just love you all for everything. Thank God for you. Thank you for loving my family. Thank you for supporting this thing with Daniel. Thank you for keeping me here. So God bless you, and thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.